Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Barb Billingsley. I'm the Dean of the University of Alberta Faculty of Law, and it is my very great pleasure to welcome you on your first day of law school to our faculty. This is an exciting day for all of us. For me, it's my first opportunity as a Dean to speak to the incoming class of law students and to welcome you. For you, of course, it's your first day of law school. You have worked hard to get here, and you should be proud of yourselves. Each of you is one of about 185 students who have been admitted to our program this year out of approximately 1,000 applicants. The average age of the incoming class is 26, and collectively you come from a wide range of academic disciplines, work experience, and backgrounds. But today you have one very important thing in common with one another. Today you become part of the long and proud tradition of the University of Alberta Faculty of Law, the oldest faculty in Western Canada. You are, in fact, the 100th class to begin a full-time undergraduate law degree at this faculty. When you graduate in 2023, you will have the distinction of being the 100th graduating class of the Faculty of Law. Let me take a few minutes to expand on that thought and to explain your place in the history of our faculty. Our faculty was first formed in 1912. At that time, it was the first professional faculty at the University of Alberta, the first law program in Western Canada, and among the first law programs in the country. But in 1912, our program was offered under what was then called the English model of legal education. That is, part-time classes offered in downtown Edmonton to support the practical apprenticeship of lawyers. It wasn't until 1921 that the Faculty of Law began providing full-time legal education as part of a 3-year academic program designed to precede a year of apprenticeship or articling. This is called the Harvard model of legal education. The University of Alberta's first president, Henry Marshall Tory, was the driving force behind Alberta's adoption of the Harvard model. The fact that this approach to legal education was not adopted in Ontario until 38 years later speaks both to President Tory's foresight regarding the future of law and to the value which he placed on having a strong faculty of law as an essential component of this university. You and all of the students who have received their legal education at our faculty since 1921 are the direct beneficiaries of Henry Marshall Tory's vision. The students who were admitted to the faculty in 1921 became the faculty's first graduating class in 1924. That class consisted of just under 20 students, and all of them were male. Notably among them was Clarence Campbell, who went on to serve as president of the National Hockey League from 1946 to 1977. The law, you will learn, has deep roots, but it's not static. This is also true of our faculty and the legal education we provide. Since 1921, the size and composition of our student body has changed dramatically. Your class is now more than 10 times larger than the incoming class of 1921, and the women in your class outnumber the men. Our curriculum has expanded greatly over the years, keeping pace with important societal concerns by adding courses in various areas such as energy law, environmental law, poverty law, mediation, and Indigenous law. The Law Centre is now home to 4 research institutes: the Alberta Law Reform Institute, the Centre for Constitutional Studies, the Health Law Institute, and the recently formed Wakotewin Law and Governance Lodge. We look forward to the insights and the experiences that each of you will bring to our faculty as we continue in our evolution. Since 1921, thousands of students have received their law degrees from our faculty and have gone on to make valuable contributions to the legal community and to the broader society. You are in very good company. Some of our graduates who you might recognize include the following: Peter Lougheed. He was in the class of 1952 and served as Alberta's Premier from 1971 to 1985. Violet King, a graduate of the class of 1953, was the first Black female lawyer in Canada, the first Black person to graduate law in Alberta, and the first Black person to be admitted to the Alberta Bar. Beverly McLaughlin, a graduate of the class of 1968, was the first Alberta and the first female to be appointed to the Chief Justice role at the Supreme Court of Canada. She's also the longest-serving Chief Justice. Catherine Fraser, a graduate of the class of 1970, is currently the Chief Justice of Alberta. She was the first woman appointed to that role in Alberta and the Northwest Territories, and the first Chief Justice of Nunavut. Willie Littlechild, a graduate of the class of 1976, was the first status Indian from Alberta to attain a law degree, and he went on to serve as a member of Parliament from 1988 to 1993. Mary Morrow, a graduate of the class of 1979, currently is the Chief Justice of the Alberta Court of Queen's Bench and is the first woman to have been appointed to that position. Daryl Cates, a graduate of the class of 1985, is the owner of the Edmonton Oilers and the first alumni to own an NHL team. Steve Blackman, a graduate of the class of 1997, is a writer and producer of television shows, including Fargo and Legion, and is now the showrunner of the Netflix series, The Umbrella Academy. This is just a random sampling of the many community leaders we count among our alumni. I offer these names to illustrate the enduring role our faculty has played in providing a platform for the success of its graduates in their careers as lawyers and judges and in their business and creative endeavors. Your University of Alberta law degree will serve you well in future, whatever path that future takes. From the beginning, our faculty has enjoyed a strong reputation for providing excellent legal education. That tradition continues today, and over the next 3 years, you will learn from many professors who are experts in their fields. But another notable and long-standing feature of our program is the collegiality among our students, staff, and faculty members, and the exceptional degree of integration between our faculty and the legal community in this province and beyond. Beginning today, you become part of that tradition as well. 33 years ago this month, I sat where you are. Well, not actually where you are. You are in your bedrooms and dining rooms and living rooms. But figuratively, I was in your position. I can tell you from experience that the next 3 years will change your life. You will learn a new way of looking at the world, and you will meet some of the best friends of your life. I want to encourage you to take the opportunities presented to you. Take advantage of the many opportunities you will have while you are here to interact with your classmates, with professors, with lawyers, judges, and other members of the legal community. There is literally no shortage of opportunities to get involved. The legal community in this province and in Canada is a small one, and finding your place in that community and building your reputation in that community starts today. And we are here to help. Of course, the pandemic has changed things a little bit. The virtual orientation that you're going to experience over the next hour or so is not what you or I had imagined a few months ago. But I can tell you that our faculty members and staff have been working hard over the summer to ensure that we can provide you with the best experience possible until we are all able to meet fully in person again. In the meantime, we look forward to continuing Henry Marshall Torrey's legacy with you, the 100th incoming class of the Faculty of Law at the University of Alberta. Now, I'd like to turn things over to Vice Dean Eric Adams. He is one of the expert faculty members I have mentioned already. Over to you, Eric.
Thanks, Dean Billingsley. And it's an exciting day for all of us to have Dean Billingsley as this is her first orientation as Dean, and she's well loved amongst the faculty and students, as you'll soon find out. Well, Tansei, bienvenue, welcome. My name is Eric Adams, as you've just heard, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Vice Dean at the Faculty of Law, and today I get to be your host during this virtual orientation. So welcome to you all. And I just noticed out my window, which is something we wouldn't have been able to do in room 231, 237, because there are no windows. Out my window, the sun just started shining. So surely that's a good sign for this orientation and an auspicious sign for the first day of your legal career. You know, you're going to hear a lot about the challenges, and there are going to be some challenges of dealing with law school and post-secondary education during a pandemic. Learning remotely will sometimes make you want to pull your hair out. But I like to think of this moment as historic, more than just a set of challenges. And this faculty of law for more than 100 years has seen its fair share of challenges. And during those other historic moments, during the Second World War, during the other earlier centuries pandemic of 1917, this school kept operating, learning about the law, and training the next generation of legal professionals. And I know that we'll get through this challenge with exactly the same fortitude and courage. When I was thinking about what it might be like to start law school in the midst of a pandemic, I started to think, geez, that would be a bit daunting for all kinds of reasons. But then I realized that this pandemic, like so many of other life's great challenges, involves law in so many countless ways. And law and legal thinking and holding on to the best ideals of a just society are going to be what gets us through the challenges of this pandemic. And you now, as law students and as future legal professionals, get to be a part of that. In your first year courses, you'll already start to grapple with the kinds of questions you'll hear on the news and you'll see everywhere around you. In constitutional law, you might ask the question, can one province ban the residents of another province from coming across its borders? Can a government impose a vaccine on people, or would that infringe on freedom of expression, freedom of religion, or security of the person? In contract law, you might wonder, can an employer lower the salaries of her employees if they're now working from home? In tort law, you might wonder, does a business have a duty of care towards the customers that will be using the premises and may contract the virus while they're doing their shopping? In criminal law, you'll start to expose some of the fault lines that really took hold this summer in the Black Lives Matter movement in terms of the place of racialized people and Indigenous people in the criminal justice system. Is that system truly just and working as well as it can? All of these great challenges and more await you and your talents, your creativity, and your ability to bring your best to the challenges of our time. And law school gives you that opportunity in an incredible way. So I'm excited that this is your first day and excited that you get to do it during a pandemic too. If you were in the room here, and we wish you were at the Law Center, you'd be on the beautiful banks of the North Saskatchewan River. And this is a special place because since time immemorial, it has been a gathering place for Indigenous peoples. Not just the Cree who predominantly lived in this area, but a gathering place and a meeting place, a place of exchange for diverse Indigenous peoples such as the Blackfoot, the Nakota Sioux, the Iroquois, the Dene, the Anishinaabe, the Inuit. And of course, after contact, it became the homeland of the Métis. This is now Treaty 6 territory, and we are all Treaty 6 people. And the law school in particular is located on River Lot 7, the former home of Laurent Garneau, famous leader in the Métis community. So this Indigenous history, but also this Indigenous present reality is everywhere around us at the University of Alberta, and I hope in your legal education. To give you a sense of greetings from the diversity of those Indigenous peoples, we have a number of greetings that I'd like to introduce now. 3 videos, I'll set them all up and then we'll let the videos run. We'll first hear from Elder Elsie Paul. Elder Paul is a Métis Cree elder and a knowledge keeper, and she'll help us get started, as the Cree say, in a good way. Next, we'll hear from Grand Chief of Treaty 6, William Morin. He's a chief of the Enoch Cree Nation and really one of the young leaders in Alberta to keep an eye on because of the impact he's having for educational reforms in the Cree community. Finally, we'll hear from Audrey Patra. She's the president of the Métis Nation of Alberta and one of the leaders of the Métis community nationally. And to these three impressive people, I'll turn the floor over now.
I can see that she has the proper protocol by offering this little pouch of tobacco, because that's what happens when you're asking elders or resource people to come, elders, older people, when you ask them to say prayers or a presentation, whatever you do, they're offering up that little pouch of tobacco. Because this is sacred, it's not for personal use. Tobacco is meant for prayers and offerings. So thank you so much. And I'm so happy we're on Mother Earth, we're outside. This is so beautiful, When I go to a lot of schools and I can't burn the smudge sometimes, so I use this sweetgrass spray. It smells really good. And then, of course, I spray to the easterly direction. And I go this way, then I go to the west, and I go here. But it smells, you can smell it smells real good, And if I could burn the smudging, that's what I would be doing, the medicines, whatever medicine I'm using. Usually I use sage, because that's woman's medicine, And the elder told me we always light the medicines to the easterly direction. We go to the south, to the west, to the north, for the Cree anyway, Just say this prayer now, and it will be my language, and I'll solve it after, okay? Hai no tawinan stekin nashkumnan, no manotska gisagad, minak matsunopti, evoman taski nanopti, mina wakutum, kinashkumnan joasim sinanak, no simnanak, minwa kumagananak, nigani kawitaksinti, van muksema, kinashkumnan. No kom nanak mina kwesi ipek swa magoyapi. No som nanak kwesi binana tengoyapi. Negi ko nanak okti nas kom nanak tawina. Minan to ten nanak okti. Dewi cheo nanak okti tawina. Kwes no tapak tunan. Kwes no big squat tunan. Kwes no yatustanan. Thank you, Creator, for this day. We thank you for life. And we thank you for our land. We thank you for kinships and relationships, our children, our grandchildren, and we thank you for our relatives who are coming in the future. We thank you for grandmothers and grandfathers, and we also thank you for our relatives who are coming in the future. We thank you for our parents and our friendships, Creator. Be with us today. Help us to look at each other in a good way and to listen to each other. We thank you for everything. Hi, Marcy, thank you.
Tansek nuwaku magantik. Tamskatanawa gakia tip matsuin. Wape kio natsigasin maskesi ochinia Chief Billy Moore and Grand Chief of Treaty 6, and I welcome you to this territory. I want to acknowledge Dean Billingsley in the U of A, Elder Elsie Paul, and of course the students, whether from Treaty 6, 7, or 8, Métis, or you're any Canadian, welcome to this territory and welcome to the program. Wow, what a time to do orientation. With COVID-19 and how fast the world is changing and how the challenge is in front of us to define how we're going to go forward as peoples and as lawyers and in the legal system. For the past 10 years or more, this has been an area of reconciliation started by the likes of lawyer Willie Littlechild, Chief Willie Littlechild, Elder Justice Marie Sinclair, and it's your job to keep that work going, because far too often our rights in that relationship has been defined under Section 35 in the law courts, adversarially in court. It's your job to change that. It's your job to bring back the original intent under the pipe that we smoked together as treaty peoples and our ancestors. It's your job to highlight the wampum belt of moving forward together as peoples. It's your job to keep this less adversarial and more in synergy with the original intent of treaty. So hi for taking the challenge. First year students, good luck. We know you'll make us proud as treaty peoples, and good luck in your studies for 4 more years and beyond. Hi, kinanaskumtinawa.
Hello, I am Audrey Patra, President of the Métis Nation of Alberta, bringing greetings on behalf of our Provincial Council. I was extremely pleased to accept the invitation from Dean Barbara Billingsley to provide a welcome to all law students commencing legal studies on this location, which is part of the Métis Nation homeland and the former site of Laurent Garneau's River Lot Number 7. Since 1928, the Métis Nation has supported education in one form or another. Today, we support the final year of college or university study. We have a $6.5 million endowment at the U of A to support Métis students, and in the months ahead, we will launch a far-reaching post-secondary education program. The Métis Nation of Alberta regularly hires summer students, including law students, and we extend an open invitation to law students to come and work with us. Last year, we signed an historic Métis government recognition and self-government agreement with the Government of Canada. And since then, we have been very busy developing a governance framework and a new constitution for the Métis Nation in Alberta. We continue to monitor numerous cases in Métis litigation, and we support our citizens in exercising their harvesting rights. Over the years, I was in attendance when the Supreme Court of Canada handed down decisions on the Crown versus Powley, Daniels, and the Manitoba Métis Federation. We continue to advocate for justice for our citizens on a number of fronts. And most recently, we are monitoring proceedings in the murder of two Métis hunters, Maurice Cardinal and Jake Sampson. The Métis Nation strongly supports the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action number 28, and I encourage the U of A law students to introduce mandatory curriculum to include Indigenous people and the law. And I invite each of you to seek opportunities in the critical and growing area of Métis and Indigenous law. Again, I commend each of you on your decision to enter law school, and I wish you good mental health in this uncertain time. I wish you the strength of mind in your endeavors. Thank you, good luck, and best wishes in your studies.
Thanks. One of the great joys of being a law student is that right from day one, you join a community of legal professionals, of lawyers, of judges, of those who have come before you as part of a large profession and generous alumni community that you're part of from day one. And so representatives of those communities are here to also give you greetings and to let you know that they're thinking about your first day of law school, and I'm sure they're thinking about some of their first days of law school at the start of their legal careers as well. So again, we have three speakers, three short videos, and I want to introduce them all before I turn the floor over to them. First, we'll hear from Chief Justice Mary Moreau. She's Chief Justice of the Alberta Court of Queen's Bench, also a graduate of this law school, and really one of the innovative leaders among the Canadian judiciary that I know you'll be watching for in the years ahead. And I hope you get the opportunity to hear from Chief Justice Moreau in person over the course of your 3 years. Next, this faculty maintains a close relationship with the Alberta Court of Appeal, and we're hearing greetings from the Honourable Justice Frederica Schutz of the Court of Appeal, a member since 2015, and she'll also bring greetings from the Chief Justice of that court, Chief Justice Catherine Fraser. Finally, I should have pointed out, Justice Schutz is a graduate of the Alberta Faculty of Law. And to continue a theme, our third graduate of the University of Alberta Faculty of Law and an impressive fellow in his own right is Kent Teskey QC. He's the president of the Law Society of Alberta. He's also a longtime sessional instructor at this Faculty of Law. And he is the head of an organization that leads the profession in the province of Alberta, a really key step in promoting the rule of law is the independence of the profession of lawyers. And you'll hear all about that, I know, in the months and years to come. So without further ado, here are our next three speakers to welcome you.
Je souhaite la bienvenue à vous tous. I would also like to congratulate Dean Billingsley on her recent appointment as your new dean. I've had occasion to deliver greetings to the first-year U of A law class in previous years, but not quite in this way. COVID-19 has forced many institutions to move rapidly into a remote environment to continue to perform our work, and this has presented many challenges. But as Ralph Waldo Emerson once observed, there's no better way to exercise the imagination than by studying the law. That is never truer than now, as your law class adapts to different methods of learning the law and its processes. Whatever doors open to you after you complete your law school years, and they will, you will always take away one of the greatest gifts of legal studies, that of critical thinking, continually turning the prism to ensure that all facets of the issue are considered. I wish you all the best of luck and hope we can soon meet in person at a joint law school and court function. Bonne session.
I'm delighted to bring greetings from the Honourable Madam Justice Catherine Fraser, Chief Justice of Alberta and Chief Justice of the Courts of Appeal of Alberta, the Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. And on behalf of all of my colleagues, welcome to law school. I also send warm congratulations and my personal best wishes to Dean Billingsley on her appointment. Dean Billingsley is the perfect leader for this school in these difficult times. Your dean and I were in the graduating class of 1990. You will graduate in 2023, 33 years later. It so happens that I was 33 when I entered law school, with 2 children, a mortgage, and in a period of great economic instability. So I fully empathize with all of you who not only have a full-time course load, but I have the added responsibility of employment, caring for children or other loved ones, or are in similarly challenging circumstances in this especially worrying time. Take it from me. It can be hard, very hard. But you can do this. Chief Justice Fraser recently said this about the importance of the rule of law. Democracy cannot triumph over tyranny without the rule of law and an independent judiciary. Indeed, without both, there can be no democracy. The rule of law means that no one is above the law, including the government. The rule of law is our common consensus, our acquired wisdom, our belief in shared values, and our willingness to support and respect one another. Both its strength and fragility arise from the fact that the rule of law is a belief and honor system. Our Chief Justice also said this: there is a legal expression, the law is always speaking. It invites a first question: to whom is it speaking? The answer is brief: everybody. And that means everybody now and everybody to come. It also invites a second question: what is it speaking about? The answer: everything. The law constitutes the threads of orderliness in the fabric of our society. As the essential underpinning of our ability to live together, the law touches everything and has always done so. Defending the rule of law necessarily demands an impartial, informed, open-minded judiciary. You are privileged to live in a country where judges are impartial, informed, open-minded, and courteous. Now, a few words about lawyers. A professional privilege to which most of you, if not all, aspire. In my 23 years of practice, I worked with and opposite some of the best and the brightest lawyers around. In Canada, lawyers are fierce defenders of the rule of law. Lawyers are also trusted advisors, fearless advocates, and sometimes unpopular champions of their clients' causes. It was my distinct privilege to be a lawyer, and I was very fortunate to have participated in an abundant professional life. Now some advice. Study diligently. Conduct yourself with the utmost integrity and probity. It is your extreme good fortune to have been offered a seat at this superb law school. Remember, the foundation of your professional reputation is being built now. But also, take time for family and loved ones, human and animal. Be good to those you care about. Do not allow yourself to become so focused that you treat carelessly the very people who got you here. Law school is difficult enough without trying to go it alone. Stay connected and stay involved. Find a way to volunteer so that the greater community gains the benefit of your prodigious intelligence and energy and your tremendous goodwill. Help those who need help, accessing and navigating through often confusing, intimidating, and frightening legal processes. Consider a career helping families and children in crisis, or the impoverished, the disenfranchised, those who are starting their lives over in Canada. Consider a career defending the criminally accused, or with troubled youth. Keep your minds and hearts open to the infinite possibilities that your legal education will provide. I look forward to watching your futures unfold. In closing, once again, I extend a very warm welcome to the University of Alberta, class of 2023, Faculty of Law, as does the Chief Justice of Alberta, the Courts of Appeal, and all of my colleagues. Our very best wishes to each and every one of you. Thank you.
My name is Kent Teskey, and I'm the president of the Law Society of Alberta and a proud member of the University of Alberta Faculty of Law class of 2004. You are beginning your journey into the legal profession at a time of tremendous uncertainty, but also a time of opportunity. The influences of technology and social change will propel significant changes in the ways that lawyers practice and deliver services to the public in new and innovative ways. More importantly, these changes will make the work that lawyers do more essential than ever to Canadian society and the rule of law. The Law Society is the independent regulator of the legal profession in Alberta. We protect the public interest by regulating the ethics and competence of Alberta's 10,000 lawyers. Simply put, we will be walking alongside of you throughout your career. On behalf of the benchers and the staff of the Law Society, we welcome you as you begin what we hope will be an exciting and fulfilling career in the legal profession. Congratulations and good luck.
Don't worry, the welcomings are just starting. We've got more. This next one is maybe the most important, some would say. It's delivered by the president of the Law Students Association, the lifeblood of this faculty of law. You're going to get to know both the association and its president, Tony Basu, I know very well in the next year, and I hope you'll take advantage of all of the ways in which the LSA helps to make life at law school here just a little bit better. Let me tell you a little bit about Tony. He's a graduate with a Bachelor of Commerce degree from the University of Alberta. He's in his third year here at the U of A, And the rumor has it that he may be going to Calgary to article, but I'm going to see if I can convince him to stick around in Edmonton before the year is done. Without further ado, here's your president, Tony Basu. Tony?
Thank you for the introduction, Vice Dean Adams, and hi everyone. My name is Tony Basu, and I am your Law Students Association president this year, as Vice Dean Adams mentioned. I am so excited to have the opportunity to speak to you today about what to expect over the next couple of years in law school. First of all, congratulations. I know that all of you have worked hard to be in this position, and you should all be excited for what's to come. So keeping it real, this orientation is very different from the one I attended. And this year will be different too. But after a summer of hard work by faculty members and staff at our law school, I'm confident that you will still have the same fundamental experience and opportunities of any other 1L class. In fact, I'm guessing that our experiences might be more similar than you would expect. If you're anything like I was in 1L, you're probably filled with a mix of excitement and anxiety and maybe a little imposter syndrome as you open this new chapter of education in your life. First, let me reassure you that you belong here. You're here because you worked hard, you're talented, you're ambitious, and you have the capacity to contribute to both the legal profession and society more broadly. You'll be getting more than enough advice from upper year students over the next couple of weeks, a lot of it unsolicited, so I'll start you off. My first piece of advice is to reach out. This faculty is populated by students, professors, and staff who are rooting for you to succeed. You will be shocked at the time people in positions of authority, influence, and import are willing to invest in you, both in this law school and the legal profession more broadly. Collegiality is not a buzzword at this faculty. It's something each of us practices every day. From professors walking you through principles that you just can't wrap your mind around, to Steve with his sage advice and the best coffee on campus, to upper year students who have been waiting to provide you with the vast support system that we experienced as we started law school. This faculty is filled with people that will provide you with empathetic and qualified advice. All you have to do is ask. There are boundless opportunities in law school. Through student legal services, you'll have the chance to help Edmonton's low-income community. Through Law Show, you'll raise money for charitable endeavors and explore or refine a talent. Through the mooting program, you'll have the chance to refine your skill set, present legal arguments in front of scholars, lawyers, and judges, and become way too emotionally invested in imaginary characters. You might not see it yet, but there's a path for every single one of you in this faculty that's filled with accomplishment and personal growth and a lot of fun. You just need to find it. My second piece of advice is to trust yourself. Now, this one might be hard. For some of you, it will mean fighting the instinct to tie how you feel to your academic experience. Law school is supposed to be a challenge. That means sometimes you walk out of a class with a headache, or completely miss the point on a fact pattern, or scream as you fight the urge to throw your casebook at the wall. I'm not saying those experiences are inevitable, but they're certainly normal. So when you're writing your first legal memo, or putting together your first can, don't be afraid to take a break. Maybe have a call with a friend in your cohort and talk about everything but law school. Get involved in a club you're interested in, or fight for a cause you believe in. Enter this year intending to collaborate instead of compete. And remember that you don't have to concede any part of your identity that you value to succeed in law school. My third and last piece of advice is to have fun. Personally, I've had more fun in law school than I ever anticipated. I've made some of my best friends in this faculty and formed some of my most cherished memories. And the most important ingredient to having fun in law school isn't any particular event or experience or building. It's the people. So start a study group and have a Zoom meeting every week. Go for coffee, or maybe this year, invite someone over for coffee. Send each other memes. Plan a grad trip for 2023. And above all, support each other. As you start your law school journey, I could not be more excited for every one of you. You're at the start of a truly life-changing process that I wish I could do all over again. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or if you just want to talk. Thank you so much for listening today, and cheers to a great year ahead.
Thanks, Tony. You can see why he's so terrific at his job. Next, this would be the part of the afternoon where you'd start to shift around in your chair a little bit. You'd start to think about the barbecue that we were going to give you out front, and we can't do any of those things, unfortunately. We thought to ourselves, well, if students can't come to the building, maybe we can figure out a way to bring the building to them. So here's our best shot at it. Here's a little bit of the Law Center that you can't see just yet, but we hope you'll see in the days ahead. Roll it.
Hi everybody, welcome to what we hope is going to be your home away from home for the next few years, the University of Alberta Faculty of Law. Not sure how much time you're going to be able to spend in the building over the next weeks and months, so we thought we'd give you a little tour. This, of course, is the lobby. Come along, I'll show you some other parts of the building. This is the first and most important stop every morning for students and faculty alike, the Hello My Friend Cafe. Hi,
Barb.
Hi, Steve.
Here for your morning coffee?
Always.
It's right over there. And hello to all you incoming law students. Congratulations on getting in. I hope you're enjoying the summer and taking lots of time off, because I know come September you're going to be working very, very hard, and hopefully you'll need lots of coffee. I've got coffee, tea, pastries, everything you need to get through the day. Espressos, sandwiches, all the things. And the first coffee is always free.
Thanks, Steve.
Barb, are you going to pay?
Put it on my tab. So directly outside of the Hello My Friend Cafe, you'll find our Student Services office. Every question you have about being a first-year student, you can find someone in there to answer. At the other end of the first floor, you'll find the Decor Center. Come on in and meet Tim. Hey, Tim.
Oh, hey, welcome to the Faculty of Law. I'm Tim Young, and I'm the IT and Twin and Exam Administrator.
It's actually a rarity to find Tim seated so still behind his desk. He's usually running around the faculty solving all our IT problems. And when I say running... At the top of the main staircase, you'll find the John A. Ware Memorial Library, named after our faculty's first dean. And if you can't find what you're looking for in the library, it might be time to talk to a professor. Our offices are on the 4th floor. The 4th floor hall is a complete square, and you'll find the offices of the professors on the outside wall. Lining the walls are photos of all the graduates who've gone before you, like some of your professors. One day you'll be on this wall too. And if you're looking for my office, it's here on the 4th floor too. Many of our professors aren't working in their offices right now, but I know that they want to wish you a warm welcome to the faculty.
Hello, class of 2023. Welcome to law school. My name is Chris Samuel. I'll be your legal research and writing instructor, and I hope you're excited to be here because I'm definitely excited to have you. We'll see you soon.
Hello, class of 2023, and welcome to law school.
Hi, I'm Professor Stephen Penny, and this is Gidget, and we'd like to welcome you to UAlberta Law.
Hello to the class of 2023. My name is Professor Shannon O'Byrne. Welcome to UAlberta Law.
Hello, my name's David Percy. Welcome to the U of A Law School. I teach energy law, water law, and contracts, and I look forward to meeting at least 1/3 of the class in person in our contracts course in September.
Hi, I'm Professor Friedland, saying hi from beautiful Assiniboine-Winniwek Nation territory. Welcome to UAlberta Law. We're thankful to have you joining us for school in the fall. Welcome to UAlberta Law.
We have a wide variety of classrooms around the building, many of which have been generously supported by our alumni and law firms. On the second floor of the law school, you'll find the Eldon Footloop courtroom. This is where our students practice their oral advocacy. And this is our largest classroom, McLennan Ross Hall. Waiting inside is Vice Dean Adams to say hello. Eric, there's no sleeping in law school.
No, I wasn't sleeping. I was just resting, waiting for all of you. Welcome. My name is Eric Adams. I'm the Vice Dean here at the Faculty of Law, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to one of our special rooms, the McLennan Ross Hall, sometimes called room 231-237. And this is normally the place where you'd be spending a lot of your orientation, getting to know each other, getting to know the faculty. Today we're giving you the next best thing, the video tour. But don't worry, I have a sense that you'll get lots of opportunities to be here with your classmates, with each other over the next 3 years, because this is the place where you'll have a number of classes, but also where you'll hear from some of the great speakers that come through these halls. Famous alumni, great lawyers, and sometimes great judges will come here and share their experiences of law, so I know you'll have that opportunity in the days and years ahead. Now we're going to hear from somebody who also wishes he could be here in person. Uniquely, he used to lecture at that lecture podium right behind me. Back then he was known as Professor Russ Brown. Today we know him as a different title, Mr. Justice Russell Brown of the Supreme Court of Canada. Part of me thinks just a little part of him still wishes he taught here at the U of A. Today we get the next best thing. He gets to be part of the introduction to your first days of law school. So without further ado, let me throw the floor over to Mr. Justice Russell Brown.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And let me first of all thank Vice Dean Adams for that kind introduction, and thank Dean Billingsley for the invitation to deliver the keynote today. I'm very glad to be with you, even if not in person. This is not, of course, how anyone who has gathered virtually today to welcome you to the law school wanted you to be launching your law school experience, and I'll have more to say about that later. For now, let me just urge you to take a little time, whether now or later on, to reflect on this law school and what it means to the city of Edmonton, to the communities across Alberta whose citizens seek advice from its graduates, to our province and to the country. Because when you do that, you should find yourself taking militant pride in having joined this association of members of the legal community who come from the University of Alberta. The contribution of this law school to the administration of justice in Canada is truly extraordinary. Of course, there's the remarkable example of one of its famous graduates, former Chief Justice McLaughlin of the Supreme Court, but other examples abound. To my mind, of two of Canada's greatest jurists who wound up as Supreme Court justices, Justice Ronald Martland and Justice William Stevenson, also graduated from the University of Alberta, and each of them also taught here. And some of Canada's great jurists who stayed closer to home, for example, Chief Justice Catherine Fraser and Justice and former Professor Ellen Picard, and some of Alberta's truly historic public servants. I'm thinking of the likes of Peter Lougheed, of Lou Heinemann, of Willie Littlechild, also represent this law school's legal legacy, which all of you are now privileged to join and to augment. So as I say, I'm happy to be here, and I'm also pleased to bring the warm greetings of my colleagues, and in particular of the Chief Justice, Richard Wagner. As I thought about what I would say to you today, I did probably what anyone in my situation would do. I thought about my first day in law school, about what I expected, about what I heard said to me, about what, knowing what I now know, I wish I had heard said to me. It was 30-something years ago at the University of Victoria. I came from a very small town in north-central British Columbia, but I had a 2-year-old BA under my belt from UBC, and I'd worked in the interim as a legislative intern, and I'd done some traveling. And I'd just come off the exceedingly intense experience of traveling across what was then the totalitarian East Bloc, witnessing firsthand the earliest stirrings of what would become the first campaign for free elections in post-war Poland, then crossing the length of the Soviet Union, just in time to witness the student demonstrations on Tiananmen Square in Beijing in June of that year, and after the massacre of those demonstrators by the People's Liberation Army, being trapped, unable to leave China for the ensuing few weeks. Before taking that trip, my original motivation for coming to law school had been principally to acquire a credential, a law degree. I had some vague idea that I might work in public policy, maybe even for government, maybe in the political realm. Having spent a bit of time in that world as a legislative intern, I'd seen the instant credibility accorded to legally trained people in those fields. It gave them a, and they knew how to write. They knew how to speak. They knew how to argue a point. They could make sense of what seemed to me to be an irredeemable mess. And I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be one of those people who made sense of things for people. So my experience in China had altered my objective a bit, but in ways I could express only inchoately at the time. My good friend, with whom I traveled across the Soviet Union to China, emerged from that experience determined to become a political activist. He is now a merchant banker who transfers unbelievable amounts of money to and from Chinese-held accounts. But I emerged asking questions about what I'd seen in terms of law. Was what the Chinese government had done at Tiananmen Square really legal? And I'm sure there was a statute or an ordinance on the books somewhere in Beijing that authorized the government to send in the army. But was that really, in a normative sense, law? I didn't know it at the time, but I was asking myself the sort of questions with which you will be grappling in your course in jurisprudence. Because contemporary legal thought in the Western world has been dominated in the last 50 or so years by a debate roughly between two schools. The first, one whose members view law as primarily a political instrument, consisted of rules promulgated by a political authority and enforced by state sanctions, meaning that any rule promulgated by that authority, howsoever repugnant to one's sense of justice, is law. And the second school, which views legal rules as law only if they conform to fundamental principles of justice. But of course, on day one of my law school experience, I didn't know any of that. All I knew was that I was beginning to understand my objective in studying law differently, because I was seeing law differently, not as a tool of power, but as a check on power. And I began to see my future differently, but as I say, not yet very clearly. And so there I was in that rather muddled mindset on day one of law school. And we heard from the dean, and we heard from the various faculty members, and we were told about exams, and we were told that there was usually no right answer on a law exam. What matters more is how you got there and your reasoning. And we heard about the clubs and the societies that we could join and the sports that we could play. And we heard from a judge. Actually, even though this was in British Columbia, the judge was a visiting judge from the Court of Appeal of Alberta. And he lamented about how Bora Laskin, who had recently been Chief Justice of Canada, had basically hounded a British Columbia trial judge into resigning because he had commented publicly and critically on the draft Charter of Rights. And then we were sent off to buy our books. And I remember reflecting later that day on what I had heard, thinking that while I knew a lot about the nuts and bolts things about going to law school, I knew the exam schedule, I knew the courses that I was taking, I knew the rules about where I could lock up my bike and where I couldn't articulate with any more precision than I could the day before why I was in law school. And it wasn't a sense of lacking a purpose, it was more a sense of not being able to articulate that purpose more clearly than simply wanting to help people make sense of things they find difficult to understand, helping people navigate complexity. And I suspect that the same can generally be said about a lot of you today. In this sense, you have a sense that law school may be or is the place for you, that law school may be or is the career or academic discipline for you, but you may not have the wherewithal to explain precisely why that is so. And I recognize, of course, that some of you may already know exactly why you're here. Maybe it's because law school provides you with the opportunity to learn ideas and things that are not learned in any other profession or discipline, including, for example, doing justice. Maybe it's a ticket that, and I'm mixing my metaphors a little here, you can leverage in other areas of endeavor, such as business. Maybe in your previous work or in your professional life or in your family life, you saw a lawyer in action and thought to yourself, I can do that too. Or maybe you just want to serve the community that you came from, howsoever you define that community. Any and all of those things, by the way, are perfectly good reasons to be in law school if those are your reasons. But I think that I can fairly state with confidence that the most that some of you, and probably more than half of you, can say is that studying law instinctively feels like it might be right for me. And one of the wonders of law school, one of the reasons that we say that law school, particularly the first year of law school, is transformational, is that as students learn about legal analysis, as they absorb legal thinking and legal ideas, they find themselves inspired by law school to open their minds to new possibilities, to new career paths that they can scarcely conceive of on the first day of law school. Even though they'll have to study subjects that they expect not to enjoy, because they have to study them in significant depth, they sometimes find themselves far more interested in the subject matter than they could have anticipated. This can happen in the most surprising of areas. For example, land title registration or wills and estates may seem like fairly dusty technical subjects, but each of them is actually vitally important to people when you think about it. This will happen to enough of you to make it worth my stressing. Studying law, if done in a spirit of openness to the subject matter and to being led in new and unfamiliar directions, can be transformational. And part of that transformation is the law student's appreciation of the law's curious blend of the struggle for intellectual coherence on one side and pragmatism on the other. The law and lawyers exist to help, but they do so within a coherent and normative framework. And herein lies the challenge for you. While the law strives to bring order out of disorder, much of what we lawyers do presupposes that we are nonetheless imperfect creatures, and we are not prone to orderliness. We are made of crooked and bent timber. We do not fit into preset molds. The practical side of law then, and the most noble part of the lawyer's role, is that it provides a public service by helping people navigate the complex and sometimes baffling world of law to bring to our clients' disordered lives. We lawyers are, despite the cynical impressions sometimes imposed by popular culture, we are problem solvers. We make things work. And so will you. And it need not require you to develop a practice before the Supreme Court, although I hope some of you will strive to that end, or even to develop a practice on the 50th floor of the Stantec Tower. The small towns of Alberta and of Western Canada and of the rest of Canada need good lawyers too. Whether you're helping a couple who struggle with the competing tax implications of a share sale or an asset sale of the family business, or who are sick with worry about their mentally ill son who's been charged with a serious criminal offense, or helping their adult daughter obtain a pardon for a past offense so that she can study agricultural sciences in the United States, or if you're just helping them through the legal ricochet effects of a marital breakdown. You will, if you do law school right, be ready when you leave this place to make those clients' lives better. So what does it mean to do law school right? I've already alluded to the possibility, or to the importance rather, of remaining open to law school's transformative potential. But let me offer some more concrete suggestions for you. The first suggestion actually relates to that transformative potential of law school. Going to law school holds the potential not only to shape your professional life, but to transform your outlook on civilization, on public, on the proper lines between public life and private life, on the role of the state, and on the proper relationship between the state and the citizen. And the informing concept that drives this is something that you've heard about today from Justice Schutz, and you hear about in all kinds of other contexts, although not in the accurate way that Justice Schutz described it. And I speak here of the rule of law. And this concept was coined by Professor Dicey, who taught and wrote back at Oxford 150 years ago. He gave various meanings to the rule of law, and they are now basically distilled to two meanings. And the first is this: if you, or more to the point, if your client is to be penalized, it must not be for breaching some rule that is the product of the capricious mind of a government official or a prime minister or of a president. Rather, it must be a breach of the law of the land, recognized as such by an independent tribunal. And the second, and again you heard this from Justice Schutz, no one and nothing is above the law. There's no special court or law that deals with prime ministers or justices or generals or archbishops. Nor, for that matter, is the state above the law. Remember how I mentioned that sitting in your seats 30-some years ago, I had some vague notion of the law as a check on power. And this is a more formed notion of that idea. So, taking those two meanings together, we have a principle. First, that everyone and everything, prince, pauper, state, neighborhood watch, are bound by and entitled to the benefit of law. And that we understand law as something that is publicly made and publicly administered by independent courts. And this idea that the law trumps, not the state, not power, is a powerful one. It has, in my short time, been expressly invoked by Commonwealth judges to enforce minimal standards of procedural fairness and to protect human rights. And I think it should continue to give meaning to the career choices of lawyers, whose work might otherwise seem to uninformed observers a little mundane, like those who draw wills for clients or convey property. Now, a commitment to the rule of law, which I hope each one of you will make in the year ahead, does not require that you admire every law, or how lawyers use the law, or how judges state the law. All of you come here with your own prejudices and your own inclinations. I've known a lot of liberals, socialists, conservatives, environmentalists, Christians, Jews, Muslims, atheists, capitalists, free thinkers who have gone to law school carrying those worldviews with them, and very few of them altered them because of law school. Law school does not require you to check those things at the door. It does, however, ask. In fact, I think it demands that you accept that we would rather live in a civil society which complies with the rule of law principle than I've stated. And I can assure you, having spent time in countries, and not only in China in 1989, that do not adhere to the rule of law, the alternative is far worse. So that's one suggestion for doing law school right. Recognize and be receptive to the intellectual and even ideological transformation that you're about to undergo. A second suggestion, and I'm going to come off as a nattering former professor, and I'm sorry, but here it is. Do what you can to devote yourself as completely as possible to your legal studies. And I recognize that all of you have your time pressures. Those of you who have dependents, older parents, children who need your help, have particularly demanding schedules. I know that. but I presume that your coming to law school today signifies that you've worked out your lives in such a way as to make time for serious study. So far as your lives allow, then, engage in that serious study. Make the study of law your absolute preoccupation for the next 3 years, and in particular, during the next year. First year, by the way, is, I think, the most challenging year, because you're not only learning the law and familiarizing yourself with legal concepts, but you're also learning how law school works, how exams work, how to read cases, how to brief them, how to summarize, how to outline what the professors have said, what arguments are good arguments, what arguments are bad arguments, and how to understand and make the best forms of legal argument. Again, I know each of you have lives to lead outside of law school, and I'll come to that in discussing my final point about how to do law school right. But the simple fact is that to be successful in all kinds of endeavors, law school included, there will simply be certain stages of your life where you have to work unreasonably hard. And the sooner that you make peace with that reality, the better. And for those of you who go on to legal practice, you'll find that the first few years of practice will also be that way. And after that, depending on the career path you take, there will be other instances, running trials, running hearings or appeals, putting together a merger, crunching the graduate thesis, briefing the minister, being the minister, and briefing cabinet. So I urge you to take the opportunity which law school affords by making the first year of law school one of those times where you work unreasonably hard to soak up everything that is thrown at you. Talk to your classmates about what you're learning, and set aside time, so far as you are able, for just thinking about the material. A final suggestion on how to do law school right. When you seem a little lost in some particular subject matter, don't despair. Law school is not meant to be easy. Law itself is not meant to be easy to learn, and you will almost never be the only person in your class who doesn't get it. Even now, I often come across a legal concept that, in order to understand it, I have to engage in sustained concentration. I have to talk it through with colleagues. I have to make and review notes that I make on everything I read on the subject. Back when I was finishing up high school in Burns Lake, BC, and I was preparing to begin undergraduate studies at UBC, I was expressing to an older fellow that I knew, he's long gone now, but expressing to him my anxiety about making that leap. And he told me something that has forever stayed with me. It has inspired me to keep plugging on when I got a little lost in the subject matter, whether it was in undergraduate studies or law school or legal practice or graduate studies or in my academic career, and since then. In fact, it's so true and it's so profound that I should really give it some gravitas by having it translated into Latin. It may be one of the truest things that you ever hear in your professional life. I'm happy to share it with you now in the hope that it has the same salutary effect for you. And it's this: dumber people than you have done this. And it's true. On those dark winter nights, when you're trying to make sense of your readings or of your lecture notes, you need to remember this. So if you're not understanding in your readings, something in your readings, if you're not understanding something from your lecture notes, remember that you have been admitted to law school because you have demonstrated a capacity to grapple with and eventually understand complex concepts. Bear in mind that lectures and readings are where your understanding process begins, not where it ends. And in fact, as you become lawyers, you will find that legal education never ends. So if you're stuck, don't self-doubt. Gain support from your peers. Look to your professors, speak with them, and bear in mind that all of us in the law, lawyers, legal academics, judges, occasionally have to slog through stuff that seems incomprehensible until we finally get it. Let me close by addressing are unusual circumstances necessitated by COVID. As I said earlier, none of us, not your professors, not the law school staff, not the members of the Alberta legal profession, not the judges, none of us wanted your law school experience to begin in this virtual format. We wanted you to have the same experience we had of forming friendships in person in the law school in the first month of law school before things got heavy on the study front, and of getting to know your professors in a way that really can't be done via Zoom chat. Well, first of all, like they say, this isn't forever. It's just for now. I think Vice Dean Adams is right. I think that before long, you will be having the same experience we had. So it's not an experience lost. It's an experience deferred. And of course, the other thing is each of us has had to give up something in all of this. But having acknowledged that you are, for now, losing something very special, I think a couple of points should be made. First, I hope you'll still do everything to make the best of this year, because the best of law school, even during COVID, is still pretty darn good. Most of you are about to embark upon the 3 most rewarding and stimulating years of your life. The second thing is to make a point of reminding yourself of the importance of your studies as a preparation for a career that lies ahead, and that's because of the importance of that career to the community that you'll serve. Everyone struggles with this, by the way. The last 6 months have taught me that it is sometimes hard to remember when you're planted at your kitchen table or at a small desk in your bedroom, as opposed to in an impressive office and an impressive law school building or an impressive court building, just how much the things that you're doing matter. And my colleagues and my clerks and the lawyers who appear before us have all occasionally had to remind themselves, and I've had to remind myself, of the importance of the work we're doing when we're doing it from home week after week. So I hope you find that helpful. I think that's quite enough from me. I hope we can meet someday so that I can extend my best wishes in person. But for now, I'll just have to ask you to please accept via this medium my every good wish for success and happiness in law school and in the life and career that lies ahead. Thank you.
This is the part where there'd be thunderous applause for that fantastic address for my old friend and colleague, Mr. Justice Russell Brown. And that gave you just a taste of why he was such a popular professor and why he's so missed in these hallways. But I'm happy to report that we still claim a little of Justice Brown as our own, and I like to think he claims a little of us right back. And he's someone that keeps a relationship to this law school. So I know you'll get the chance to see him again, because he's a frequent visitor to this campus, if only that on the excuse that he can get himself to Elk Island National Park, but we'll take any reason to have him back. So thank you, Justice Brown. And thanks to all of you for being part of this historic, never before tried orientation virtual that we pulled off here for your first day of law school. I want to do 2 things in wrapping up this portion of the session. The first is to remind you that after a short break at 2:30, we'll be back with Zoom breakout rooms. I think that address has all been supplied to you. And there, in smaller groups, you'll be able to meet one another, and you'll be able to talk with a professor about your questions about the program, get that professor's impressions, maybe some reminiscences about earlier times at law school, and just get some general advice. So that's a session that's going to occur at 2:30. When we end here, I'm going to be a little paternalistic and remind you to take a real break. So what we know about Zoom is that you need these little screen breaks from time to time. So step away from your computer, stretch your legs, stretch your arms, get a snack. Maybe you've been doing those things already, but at any rate, turn off the screen for a moment or two before you come back at 2:30. And the final thing I want to say in closing my session, and luckily you'll get to hear from me in the days and months to come as well, so this isn't my last chance to impart some wisdom, but when I think about my first day of law school, I would think about the ways in which I really wasn't very sure at all about what I would study or what I would find interesting, or maybe even why entirely I was there. So some of you are probably having some of those thoughts as well and wondering, do I really belong here in this place at this time? And my answer invariably to you is yes. Yes, you do. You belong. The great thing about the law is how many diverse peoples, how many diverse perspectives, and how many diverse ideas come into one conversation together about how to do justice better amongst us all, how to live well with one another is, I think, the ultimate question of law. And we can have and will have and must have disagreements as we always work out that question. So whether you're interested in corporate restructuring or you're interested in environmental justice for future generations, whether you're interested in defending accused criminals or prosecuting on behalf of the state, whether you're interested in small town practice or big firm existence, whether you grew up on a farm or a small town, whether you're from a big city, whether you're from the West Coast or the East Coast or Ontario, you all belong here. Whether you're from Calgary, Edmonton, and points in between, you will find that this is a community that is a pretty special one. And so it's really my privilege to welcome you to your first day as a part of it. So thanks to all, and thanks to all of our speakers for those videos and for those members of our staff who filmed them all through the summer. We've been working on orientation for a long time. And I'll make a particular thanks to an individual who's having her last day on your first day, Carlin Elford, who has been with us for a long time and is going on to a great adventure. She helped to put this together, and we're going to miss her dearly. So this was for you, Carlin, and we'll see everybody back at 2:30. Thanks, everybody.